Okay, so when you are first getting into the MLS, there are, and when even you're a very experienced agent, you are always going to end up, in my opinion, running comps. I don't think that, any of the cheats out there are a smart way to go about it. And whether you're a buyer or a seller's agent, you're really going to be looking for what we call apples to apples. And so when I pull up any listing, I'm going to pull up one of my own listings. This is a one that's been a little bit tough for me. I am going to look for other properties in what? That same area. So 8007 is the area that I'm looking in. I'm going to look for the same number of beds, baths as my first big criteria. I am going to note the square footage if it's listed. A lot of people don't list square footage in their listings, but for those of us that do, we can kind of use that as a general guide. But the problem is, unlike beds and baths, which are a mandatory field, in our MLS, square footage is not. So if you limit it, your comps to buy square footage, you're going to lose a lot of comps that don't have square footage listed and could be valuable. So I'm also going to not go back a huge amount of time. I'm going to limit the search in a couple different ways. But before we even go that far, one of the things I look for is I say, what do the bots tell me? And what do I mean by bots? I mean AVM, automated valuation models. So a few places to do that is if you click on additional information and then you click on Remine, it's going to open up the Remine app. And the Remine app, they have on a lot of listings, they have automated valuation and it pulls up three different vendors. Three different vendors. So it will not often do that if the property is currently listed. However, in some cases they do. And so you can see right here the valuation of this property from the bots who have never seen it, who don't know whether the inside is beautiful or not. They don't know whether it has a lake view or a view of a brick wall. They are giving a Zestimate of 324.8, a Remine estimate of 334, and you can see they've got these very estimated range, 5% or below to 5% above. Remine 272 to 366. First American 287 to 353. So it looks like my price isn't that crazy off from the bots. But again, that's the bots. Then, and it's a nice, just like if I don't know an area, if I'm not really comfortable with my comps, if I'm questioning myself, but it's a good start. There's a second place you can go. It's not in this additional information. It is called RPR, Realtors Property Resource. I'm a certified trainer in Realtors Property Resource. I swear by it. It is an amazing amount of information. It is again under that tool tab, which is additional resources. Once you sign in for the first time and get your profile set up, which takes minutes, then you're going to be able to pull up any property. And whether it's on the market or off, you're going to be able to pull up that property and you're going to be able to get that. You're going to be able to get a little bit more information on it. And let's wait for that to load. And if it's your listing, you can also just go down, see where it says My Listings. And if it's already your listing, you can resource that as well. And so that is a lease listing. But then obviously we are looking for what? AVM. And what they have is what's called the RVM. And RVM, they think that's slightly more confident. They're slightly more confident in that. And they're saying estimated range 321 to 334. 321,000 to 334. So that's kind of an interesting information. They have some other comps in the area that they've pulled up. So again, if you're struggling with comps and you're struggling with data, use your tools, the AVMs, the bots. They can give you a little bit of help. But as far as doing your actual work, again, we're going to do this. We're going to go into area 8007. We're going to go to like types of property, which is, of course, attached single. That means condo. And then we are going to go into what? I'm going to go into closed and pending. And you're going to go back a maximum of 3 to 6 months unless you're really struggling with comps. So I'm going to go back only 3 months this time. You can, in the city, even narrow down by coordinates. You can, obviously, you're going to absolutely put in the area, Lincoln Park. And then you're going to do the exact same number of bedrooms, the exact same number of baths, because those are such massive features. And then again, from there, you can play with parking spaces, things like that. But you can see right here, only 8 things pop up in the last 3 months in Lincoln Park that are similar to that. Not a lot at all. So there we go. There is a one that sold for $295, one that sold for $299, one that's under, that is active at $299, active at 324. That's my listing. And then you get to these ones that have, it's frustrating because you have things $100,000 more that sold, so it's like, wow, what's the difference here? Well, here is the difference. So if I go up in this, I've got to press a couple more buttons here. I select all, and then I unselect this ridiculous $550,000 one. And if I do what some people do, they just go in and they click on this. They click on this little PDF thing. What's it going to do? It's going to create a CMA summary, or it can send a very discombobulated thing to the client. Makes it very confusing. It gives them some averages, but it doesn't do what? It doesn't give them the interior pictures. Same way with Remine 360 as a tool. Remine, if you go into Remine like I showed you, but then you try to do what they call 360-degree analysis, it will pull up some stuff in the area, but it's not going to give the seller or the buyer the context of what's going on inside these homes. So if I instead click on this green cloud and click on Cloud CMA, which is, by the way, the only CMA product that interacts with what? Our CRM, Wise Agent. It's a great way to get this to the client in a much more understandable format. So I am going to go ahead and put this. From the calendar, Mike is Nick Weaver, founder and coach. Exit strategy. And unfortunately, we are nearing the end of our time together because I have someone else after you. But I hope that this is going to be helpful, and this is, of course, being recorded. So 2 bedrooms, 1.1 baths is what we have as our information. We said we did have square footage on this one. So even though we're not using it as criteria, we said it was 936 square feet. So then that way we do for the other ones that have listed. It just gives you a little context. And then you're going to click on Fetch Listings. And then it's going to pull the information from these listings we have selected. And then a lot of people are like, well, that doesn't look that much different than the other stuff. Well, yeah, it does a little bit because it's got a map. And more importantly, when you click on Customize Report, what's going to then happen? It's going to generate a live link. You can also customize it. I always put in some additional information from Exit. Got a whole video on how to do that. But then you can also click on Customize Live CMA Report and look at this live CMA. So it then tells them, okay, here's all the comps in the area. Here's the average pricing. But what do these comps look like? Well, I'm glad you asked. They're then going to go in there and you're going to be able to click on Compare, as will they. And it's a live interactive process. So you can then go to their house. You can do this together on Zoom. You can do it over the phone, I guess. You can just send it to them. But watch what I can then do. I can go in and I can say, okay, what's the difference between this $480,000 listing and mine? If they've got pictures of that listing and you're like, wait a second, that thing looks a lot different than mine, right? If that thing looks a lot different than mine, and this has got all these beautiful things inside of it, and mine doesn't have hardwood floors, and it doesn't have an updated bathroom, and it doesn't have a fireplace, do I think I should maybe take that one out? I should probably take that out of my comps, right? So if I'm going to take that out of my comps, watch what now happens. See that little button at the top that say uninclude in comps? Now when I go and I click on my stats, look at the average price. It changed. Average market time, it all changed because I took out the comps that were throwing my numbers off. It automatically recalculates everything from beginning to end. So it truly then now, see, it's only got 5 comparable comps, average pricing 295. That's of what's sold. And then obviously it's got the what's active and active under contract and the market time. So it really is smart. Really is smart. So that's a very brief way to show you how to get a market analysis going and then sent out to your client using the live link feature in your cloud CMA built right into the MRAD MLS.